if we don't understand that the stuff we can't measure, the stuff we can't prove, we're a little bit weaker. And this is where musicians, I hope, have a role to play, artists. We're not in the world of science, but we are in the pursuit of truth.
Direto de Cannes, na França, onde ele foi lançar seu filme, eu falo com esse lendário irlandês de 65 anos, Bono. Bono, muito prazer, parabéns pelo filme, uma bela obra de arte, delicada, enternecedora.
Well, thank you. I ask myself sometimes, why did I go that far? But, I'm glad to have a record of it. And so much of rock and roll is about swagger and bluster, and I'm quite good at that. And I like it too. But it's important sometimes to take off the armor, put down the shield, put down the sword, and just,
Render-se, surrender, rendição, é uma palavra normalmente associada à perda, à derrota. Na sua opinião, o que o ser humano ganha quando se rende, quando se entrega?
Yeah, the kind of surrender that doesn't precede defeat. Because there's always the risk of defeat in surrender. That's, I suppose, that is important. But
Capitulation.
But it's capitulation to something much higher, I think. And I even now, I'm just grappling with the depths of the word, and I can't claim it as a word that I yet fully comprehend. And even, dare I say it, Pedro, having the word surrender at a time in the world where we've never been, that seems to be unending conflict. We seem closer to a world war than at any time in my life. It's almost absurd to be talking about surrender, to non-violence, to be talking about, militant pacifism. People would laugh at you, and they probably will. But I think it's the right time for the conversation again. But this time, I think you have to go. It's not just about nationalism. It's not just about stepping out of each other's way in gender or race. I think it's about dealing with their own egos, and apparently I have one.
Bom, o que me lembra Yuval Harari, quando ele diz que as chances, as possibilidades de alcançarmos a paz são muito maiores do que de alcançarmos a justiça. E que aí a gente deveria focar nisso.
Yes, I like his writing very much, Yuval Noah Harari. And he knows, I think, well, he's such a scientist, and he's such a, I would call him a factivist, not just an activist, a factivist. But for me, scientists are as important as priests if they are in the search of the truth, because that's what we need. The miracles that are on offer for medicine, the miracles that are on offer to solve our climate problems. There's science. And yet, if we don't understand that the stuff we can't measure, the stuff we can't prove, we're a little bit weaker. And this is where musicians, I hope, have a role to play, artists. We're not in the world of science, but we are in the pursuit of truth.
Bono, você já declarou que um dos seus objetivos com os projetos autobiográficos era tentar mostrar para o público o seu verdadeiro eu, seu verdadeiro rosto, mas que no final que você se encontrou foi numa sala cheia de espelhos. Então, será que você consegue apontar um desses reflexos como mais verdadeiro que os outros?
Oh, I think you start to understand how the John Updike phrase, how the mask eats the face, fame, as John Updike would describe it, and how, yes, the ego gets blown up, but it also implodes, and you find yourself. I'm sorry to go there with you because I'm the most grateful person to be here on the red carpet, and I do pretty good at glamour puss when I have to, and show business. I can be a showman, but one of the faces you encounter in the Hall of Mirrors is one of self-loathing, and I'm just being honest about that, and perhaps that's because you realize that you're not and in my case, I'm definitely not a self-made man. I'm not. Entrepreneurs, they can be self-made men and self-made women, but I'm. If I have any gifts, I was born with them, and the thing that brought them out of me was Edge, was Adam, was Larry, was Ali. The story that I've taken credit for and signed under surrender is, they wrote it too, because they wrote me, and I suppose there's an unfairness that you're aware of, that you realize you're a fraud. There's a part of you that feels like a fraud, and you think there's no reason to be arrogant. It's you were born with melodies in your head. That when I was 11, I had these melodies in my head. As our son says, of an unusual shaped brain. Things that are difficult for some people are very simple for me. Things that are simple for some people are very difficult for me. I should be very humble, but I'm not. I'm not. I'm trying to learn it as opposed to fake it, which George Burns said. Humility, if you can fake it.
Dessa intimidade com a plateia que vem a sua autoconfiança?
Yeah, that's right. I feel it. I'm feeling the strength from them. I mean, I was born a cocky kid. I do as I was saying, I do the attitude quite well. But at some point, my life kind of collapsed. And it continues to do so at times. But that's okay. And to walk out to meet audiences, particularly in Brazil, with a sort of this feeling, this Latin feeling, this thing. I feel more myself in front of an audience sometimes than when backstage. And Andrew Dominic, Edge, I think, said to Andrew, he said, if you think you're going to catch Bono backstage being himself with a camera, many have tried and failed. He said, you'll find him being himself in the middle of a song or in a moment of truth with an audience, of conversation. But don't think you're going to get it with him talking on, to a camera. It's tricky because I'm self-conscious, but I'm also smart. I know where the lighting is. I know where the boom camera. I know the sound. I know too much.
Bono nasceu Paul David em 1960, em Dublin, na Irlanda, segundo dos 2 filhos de Bob e Iris Hewson. A mãe dele morreu quando ele tinha 14 anos e ele conta que tem pouquíssimas memórias dela, mesmo porque o assunto mãe virou um assunto proibido na casa com os 3 homens, aprendendo a lidar, ou melhor, a sufocar os seus sentimentos. Em 2004, Bono escreveu Sometimes You Can't Make It On Your Own, que é traduzido assim, às vezes você não dá para se virar sozinho. Essa ele escreveu para o pai. Aí, 10 anos depois, ele escreveu Iris, Hold Me Closer, que é Iris, me aconchegue mais, algo assim, para a mãe. O cantor declarou que ele sempre teve medo de ser pai, porque ele achava que não ia ser um bom pai, porque ele nunca tinha sido considerado um bom filho. E mesmo assim, ele foi pai para Chuchu 4 vezes. Jordan, a filha mais velha, hoje tem 36 anos, trabalha com ativismo digital. Eve tem 33 e é atriz. Elijah tem 25, vocalista da banda Inhaler, que se apresentou no Brasil no último Lollapalooza, e John, de 24 anos, que até agora leva uma vida longe dos holofotes. Todos são filhos de Bono com Ali, que eles se conheceram no ensino médio, os dois, a Ali e o Bono, e eles estão casados desde 1982. Bono, no filme Stories of Surrender, você fala bastante sobre a sua reaproximação com seu pai, uma reconciliação que começava a se dar, e fala do perdão, e fala que o perdão teria mudado mesmo a sua voz de barítono para tenor?
Well, I wouldn't say. Well, maybe you could say that because I came into a freedom not when. Well, I asked my father for forgiveness. I was a tough kid to deal with, and I just wished I'd asked him for forgiveness while he was around. It was, a couple of years afterwards, and Ali was saying to me, you're still walking around angry, and there's something, there's. You need to make peace with your father. I said, well, it's a bit late. And so anyway, I went to this local chapel in France, actually, where I am. It's this tiny chapel. There was nobody there. And I asked him for forgiveness. I just said, I'm sorry. I'm sure you had a lot going on. And all the stuff that you didn't give me made me want it even more. I sing for that. I sing to impress you even now. And I walked away from that church a little differently. I let go of something, and that frees up the voice. And my voice, I've been singing like a bird. Even in our recent recordings with you too, they're saying, where's that voice coming from? So it's still on this journey to be the singer.
Bom, no Brasil deve ser o último lugar do mundo que continua te chamando de Bono Vox, como se fosse nome e sobrenome. Mesmo que você só assine Bono, assina só Bono desde o primeiro disco. Você consegue explicar por que isso acontece no Brasil?
Well, I dropped the Vox everywhere else. I thought it was, we didn't speak Latin on our street. And so having this strong voice seemed even too big of a boast even for me. So I dropped the Vox. But in Brazil, people like a little bit of that attitude from me and encourage it in me. So I go with it, and I'm very flattered in Brazil.